I'll keep the paper up. It's kind of funny.
I know, me too.
Well,
Hi,
hello! Welcome back to Kamen Rider Korner for PC Pop Culture Renegades. We are at a completely different location. Where are we at?
We are at Pasadena Comic-Con at Pasadena.
Yes. I've kind of helped figure out
Yeah.
the location of it. Hi, I'm Justin.
I'm Paula.
Darrel will not be in this episode because the little jerk didn't watch this episode, so that's fine.
And I was being very good and, I probably intimidated him with the outline I created. So, I get it.
Someone gets thrown a little bit of organization, and I don't know what to do. I'm kidding.
I mean, I do run the Tokusatsu Network,
Yes.
so it usually helps when you're disorganized.
Absolutely. I'm sure Darrel will be back next episode. So until then, we are on episode 19, titled The Forbidden Item. This is also going to be a little bit of a shorter episode than usual, so just keep that in mind. We're just going to kind of blast through this one. So, all right, what did you think of this app?
This is actually one of my, I think, favorite episodes so far, just because it highlighted all the background, especially with Kamen Rider Grease.
Yeah.
And so basically, what happens in this episode is I'm going to read from our outline here. And so this is the episode where we get the Splash Driver, and now it becomes a weapon of war. And there's the battle between Crossy and Grease, which is kind of fantastic.
Yeah.
And
really
so,
good.
and we also, this is the time we actually see an upgrade to the Three Crows suits, and we also get the background on who Grease is, who the Crows are, how they came to have their powers, which is all pretty fantastic. Just because, again, I live for world building.
Yes,
that's one of my favorite things about Kamen Rider, and some Kamen Rider series do it better than others. And I think because of what's happening now with Build, it really is starting to remind me of what happened in Gaim.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that they're just layers upon layers that we're peeling away, and then we see what the inner workings of this world is.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
No, agreed. Before we go into, I kind of want to go into some of the current Kamen Rider news, super quick. Be the One, the theme song by Pandora featuring Beverly, is now available in Japan as a single and on iTunes, and this nerd bought it. So for $125, and I was, no joke, listening to it on the way here.
It's a very catchy theme song.
It's funny because when you think of the theme song, I remember when Darrel asked me after the first episode, what do you think of the theme song? Because it kind of showed up a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
I kind of told him, I need to see it with the visuals, and I need to kind of let it grow on me, and maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. I bought it.
It definitely grew on you.
It grew on me.
Yep.
Next news is...
It's kind of a big one.
Yeah, go for it.
Basically, the next news that's coming up recently, specifically the Kamen Rider Build, is that the first Blu-ray collection is going to be dropping sometime soon. Volume 1, so that's basically the first core episodes, and which will also include a special mini-series that tells the prequel to Night Rogue. So Gentoku's, basically his time as the head of Toto's physics. It's a 3-episode miniseries, basically similar to, if you've seen the Kamen Rider X8 Blu-rays, it also included the Kamen Rider Snipe mini episodes that tells Kamen Rider Snipe's origin story, so to speak. So we have the similar here with Gentoku and Night Rogue.
Have you seen any of those? Or even I know they did a little bit with Drive as well. Have you seen any of these little short films on the Blu-ray?
I have. I saw I've been going through the Snipe ones, and for me it's kind of okay, just because, and to be fair, I'm not the biggest X8 fan. It's one of my least. I love the aesthetics, and I'll actually buy the merch just because the aesthetics are so great. But story-wise, it wasn't really that compelling to me, just personally.
Yeah, same. Actually.
And so, I like the Snipe series, but it was really, I don't know, it felt like all the mini episodes they're bringing in is kind of just filling the gaps of what X8, the general series, left behind.
Right.
And so it didn't really do that for me. What I liked with Drive, the Chase minisodes, the Chase miniseries was really, really great. And yeah, it just, the only thing that really brings me to watching the small episodes, whether or not the general storyline liked me enough. And in this case, for Rogue, I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Because Gentoku's, the fact that they talk about how the Pandora box and getting hit by the light literally changes their personalities so much and so drastically, that I want to be able to kind of see it in real time how that change happened, and whether or not that change happened immediately or whether or not that change happened gradually.
Right.
And so that's what I'm looking forward to.
No, agreed. Especially because I feel like the world building, like you said, in Build, is
That's always going to be funny. It's always going to be a fun.
I don't care. It's like 6 months later, I'm still making that joke. But like the world building in the show is so good that like I feel like I kind of trust him more with the Rogue episodes, and there's so much more to explore with his backstory, especially because like there's so much that we don't know about him and how he got to this point of where we are in the show.
Right.
That I feel like I'm going to trust him a little bit more on these mini episodes. So I'm looking forward to seeing those.
Some of them will drop in the official Toei YouTube channel as well. So unsubs, sorry for English-speaking fans, but they will be there if you do speak Japanese. You can watch it unsub. Hopefully, it's not region locked.
Yeah,
but it should also release on YouTube as well.
Awesome. All right, let's go into the rest of the episode. What are some general things that you wanted to bring up for sure?
Well, I know one of the things that I really wanted to bring up was basically the background of Grease and the Three Crows.
Right.
So we do find out that Grease's name is Kazumi Sawatari. Mm-hmm. So it's Kazumi, who's Kamen Rider Grease. And basically, he doesn't have his memories, and so the reason for that is because when the Skywall tragedy happened, Hokuto, who's basically a mostly agrarian section, and which is, to be fair, in the northern part of Japan, mm-hmm. which is the case in reality. When the Skywall tragedy happened, we get basically a massive environmental disaster. Yeah. And so folks who are in the mostly agrarian area, they're seeing like their crops die, their companies die because of it. And so Kazumi's only choice was to basically be recruited into the army so that he can take care of his company. Right. And so what I know mostly in terms of like company dynamics in Japan is like your company is your family. Mm-hmm. If not your actual family, because a lot of those family-owned businesses, especially for agriculture and things like that, they're a lot of family-based. The employees are your family as well, and so he basically sacrifices himself to be a weapon of war, or to be a weapon, in order to help pay for, who ends up being the Three Crows. So, like Akaba, Aoba, and Kiba. Okay. And so what I really liked about this background is because their outlandishness and flamboyantness is kind of explained just because they're country folk. And that's usually seen in other Japanese media where, they're kind of not cool or composed because, they're folks in the country. Right. And that's not like a negative stereotype. It's just I've noticed that a lot in terms of, especially anime. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So that's what I really like to kind of see that background and kind of explain. And there's like a really great through line of self-sacrifice, not only on Toto's side for Build, but also Hokuto's side. So it really, and you're basically just like Gaim, you have these two different, basically countries, or two teams working for the same countries who have very similar goals. Yeah. And they're gonna clash because the way they want to get to their goals are gonna, and they're neither of them are wrong. Right. And I love that. Yeah, it's a good bit of like conflict for them and for us to viewer, mm-hmm. because the fact that we're learning this backstory about them, it doesn't make it easy to hate Grease. Exactly. Or hate the Crows, And that's one of my favorite things about like kind of Japanese fiction too, is like this honor thing. Yep. There's never clear black and white good guys or bad guys in that case. But unless they make it clear that this is 100% a bad guy. Sure. But generally, it follows through in most Japanese media that there's no clear bad guy. Right. But honor is such a huge part of it, important for everybody that Grease did what he did and the Three Crows do what they do because they respect and honor each other. Mm-hmm. And that means they're willing to go through a lot to help each other to get to those goals. Mm-hmm. Especially with the big one is that Stock basically offers them like the superpower that could kill them. Yep. And Grease is very much like they're basically like well, like, do you want to tell them? And he's like, no, because they're not going to do it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna let them die. This thing could potentially kill them.
And he's taking
Yeah.
responsibility, kind of the same way, Sento is taking that responsibility.
Right.
It's my responsibility as the boss to sacrifice myself for my team.
Right.
Like Sento is my responsibility because I started this whole thing to, work hard and sacrifice myself because it's my responsibility.
Exactly.
So there's two, they have the same motivation, but their goals are gonna clash.
Right.
And it makes it really, really, really compelling.
Especially when while he doesn't know this, he leaves the discussion, but the head of Hoto and the stock both know. They're like, all right, the three guys are hiding out and they're listening in, and they say they'll do it because again, they'll do it for him because of how much he sacrificed to make sure they live and their families live.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Also, just as an aside, there's two things I kind of want to bring up. Like, first, they're laying it on thick in terms of like how dangerous the hazard smash forms are.
Right.
Because once you die in that form, you're gone.
Right.
You're completely gone. And so if not all three, one of them is gonna die.
Right.
And one of them's gonna get sacrificed, and I kind of can't wait for that suffering because it's gonna be good.
And that's gonna be really heartbreaking because they're, as I suspected, they're three characters that I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to like them.
Yeah.
And it's good on casting because you cast a couple of guys that are like, yeah, I don't feel like I want to hit you.
Yeah, well, some of them, what I've noticed, some of them are so familiar to me because I've seen other Japanese dramas and variety shows and stuff like that. So I'm trying to place names.
Right.
I'm not quite sure yet. But one of the biggest things I wanted to bring up is how extra does Bloodstock have to be?
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, how extra does it have to be when you have a throne with a spotlight as everybody else is having a normal conversation? Kind of like me in this hat right now. He's just sitting there, but okay, girl, you need to calm down. I get it. You're fab, and you know what's going on. But really, a throne. Come on.
Loves it. He loves it. That's the other thing too. Is I've been thinking about. There's a period I thought about where I felt like the other shoe's gonna drop on him, and I don't know how bad he really is, but I'm gonna tell you, the stuff he does in this ep is really hard to come back from.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's gonna still come into play. Maybe it will be. I don't know. But again, Bloodstock is one of the most interesting characters in the show, and
I love how complex he is.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way I like how complex Gentoku is.
Yes, yeah.
And a lot of that I want to find out, again, whether or not it was innate already, or whether the Pandora box really does, take what's in you and twist it so much. Right. And I'm just, I want to know. Yeah. I want to peel those layers. I really want to see what the last episode of Build is like.
Oh, my God.
And kind of, in the same way, Gaim was.
With DJ Sadagura, right? DJ Sadagura, and I feel like Isurugi and DJ Sagura are very similar in a fashion that they're both these older men who are kind of controlling the younger generation.
Yes.
And it's great because
and he's treating them like a mentor-mentee kind of thing as well.
And you underestimate both of them. DJ Sagura is this goofy, and Isurugi is this goofy. Hey, that's my two versions of goofy, and feel like it's
very distinct.
Very distinct. One's in your face, the other one's I'm a happy, fun older guy.
Who can't make coffee.
Who can't do coffee, yet I own a coffee shop. That was probably the first giveaway.
Probably.
Let's also go into the bit of talking about the Slash driver and Sento's consistently telling Banjo stop using it. Yeah. And we find out in this really great scene with Banjo and Misora that
such a good scene.
It's this great thing about Banjo's growth as a character continues to show, and the fact that we're at an interesting point where he is now going, I want to fight for Sento to get back to where Sento is happy. The fact that he brings up the fact when was the last time you remember him smiling? Which you realize that's an important point for Banjo. And I think back obviously to the scene where Nabeshima's child. Yeah. And he's seeing there's a chance for Nabeshima and his child to have a version of the relationship again, and Sento's very honestly happy about that. Yeah. And right now Sento is feeling guilt. Sento is feeling responsibility. And so he doesn't have time to feel good about being Kamen Rider Bill.
Ain't no time.
No time.
No time for good.
No. And that's where Banjo feels his responsibility is I want to make sure he gets back to that point.
Yeah. And he also brings up I want to do it because he's given me so much.
Yeah.
And what I
Yeah.
love is that he doesn't say that to Sento because they have the natural like dude macho thing, which by the way I don't get. Just talk to each other. Come on.
Just so much
But-
to be
yeah.
cut, saved.
Yeah,
If
right.
you just actually talk. Yeah.
Exactly. But what I liked is that Misora understands them both enough
Yeah.
to like, you know, one, she's not coddling Banjo at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like she just one, she literally drops the coffee can on his stomach to
Right.
go, hey, stop moping. What the heck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But the fact that Banjo is getting this understanding, I'm like, oh, my baby boy is growing. He's growing up. He's an adult, maybe.
He's all grown up.
No. Yay! It's not suffering for suffering's sake.
Right.
Which sometimes, like, Fies, I'm looking at you.
Calling you out.
There's gonna be one of these per episode. So, yeah, so it's not suffering for suffering's sake. There's real. I have friends who I care about and feel responsible for, and I want to be able to take care of them.
Right.
And so I am putting sincere effort into, you know, making sure that they're okay.
Right.
And sometimes that's gonna hurt. And I'm like, oh, yes, adult themes teach these children.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah.
See here. Let's talk about. Okay, so the thing that the Three Crows do is with their upgrade is that essentially they turn from hard smashes, and then as we find out, they are now calling themselves hazard smashes. Which is their design is the same except darker, which I'm actually not that into.
I mean, for me, who has like a kind of like secret goth aesthetic, very into it. Especially because if you like, you know, if you ever like stay for the previews for the next episode, we're gonna get a hazard version of build,
Right.
which
True.
is all black. Which, if you are a Kamen Rider Joker fan, or me, or us, and it's, you know, build already has the same kind of. You know, double feel anyway was the first
Right.
thing. Hey, it's the design baby of Kakaider and Kamen Rider Double,
Right.
which is fantastic. And they also have the same suit actor.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, basically Seiji Taikawa, who's kind of like known as Mr. Kamen Rider. He's been the suit actor for most of the main Heisei series, including Double, Blade, Kabuto, Kiva, Decade, Fours, Ghost, Wizard, O's, and Gaim.
As a busy dude.
And just as busy, I mean, I'm gonna basically shout out to the rest of the suit actors. Cross Z is Eitoku, who is another really good suit actor, and he's done mostly the second same. He's kind of Taikawa's second.
Yeah.
So to speak, because they're the second.
He's usually the
second
secondary
writers.
writer, yeah.
So it's like DN, Urataros, the Deno Rod form, Axel, Saga, Birth, Meteor. So all the main secondary writers, and then the suit actor for Kamen Rider Grease is Satoshi Fujita, and he was also the stunt double. If you didn't know, for Kamen Rider Deno, he was any big stunts that Takeru Sato didn't do himself out of suit. Because Takeru Sato is also a breakdancer, which is kind of awesome. Fujita also did, and he also does mainly monster suits. So most of the Roid Muse, the Zodia arts, and if as a connection with Kamen Rider Gaim, he was also the understudy for Kamen Rider Marika.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
So yeah, dropping some knowledge on you
Boom.
on some suit actors, which is a very underappreciated art form.
Agreed.
Like-
I whenever I see something like an American project where it's character with a full face mask,
Yeah.
and I watch so much Tokyo, I feel like I get why I like about the suit acting in Tokusatsu. It's a full body
It's a
performance.
really great art form.
Yeah.
Especially for Taikawa, just because he's Mr. Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
And mostly you kind of know that he's in the suit, other than just checking the credits, because he has a specific hand. Just look at the hands.
Yeah.
And you know it's Taikawa in the suit.
That's awesome. Any really cool fight scenes you want to talk about in this episode?
The only thing I really liked is the eraser part.
That was neat.
Yeah, it was basically just for me. I'm all like, oh god, I wish I had that everyday life. Just like I would buy a splash driver just to use that eraser bottle for real. It's like, oh, I don't want to be here. Okay, bye, awkward family. It's done. It's cool.
Talk politics? Okay, I'm just gonna
Nope,
be
I'm
over.
done. Nope.
There we go.
I'm gonna go get some food. I'm gonna get out of here.
It's kind of like the reverse of one of my favorite underappreciated Switch in Forza, which is the paintbrush one.
Oh yeah, it's like used like twice.
Used twice, and it's such a cool one that I'm like, use it again. You could create a wall, you know. That was pretty cool. What's another thing I kind of want to talk about in this episode?
Any favorite moments? I know my favorite moment was that conversation with Masato and Banjo.
Right.
Like
That's
100%.
Definitely, for sure. You know what? Actually, what's definitely like getting me jumping at the end. The reveal of Misora having healing abilities.
Oh yeah.
And which is came out of, I won't say came out of nowhere, but it's definitely one where I'm like, that's interesting.
I mean, if you want to talk about like, you know, D&D world building, she's like, if that's like her secret power, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But also, we brought up that Utsumi lived.
That's right. I'm sorry that we kind of skipped over. That's literally the first scene of the episode.
Yeah. Utsumi, Gentoku's, you know, assistant that he technically shot in the shoulder and fell off a bridge.
Right.
And this is kind of like a classic Kamen Rider trope in that if you do not see a body, he's alive. If he falls into a river and you do not, my accent came out. If you don't see a body, he's alive. It's a Kamen Rider trope.
No.
And so that's why when I saw Itsui fall, I'm all like, they didn't see a body. He's coming back.
He's coming back.
But
and he's going to come back against
Gentoku, and which is kind of great.
Yeah.
Episode 20 was just aired yesterday in Japan, and so I'm kind of looking forward. We're kind of building into the moment. Kind of building into the moment of Gentoku's fall.
Yes.
Because he's, you know, he gets outs as the head of Faust.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to say.
It's it.
He's the outs as Faust.
Yeah, outs as Faust. Wow.
Anyway, so you kind of get to see this is kind of the previews, and the fact that Utsui is going to be like at the corner of that.
Yeah.
Like,
no, and
it's
actually kind of cool because it's like he got caught.
Yeah.
Already, he already got caught, but now with his dad out of the picture again, he's snaked his way back into the top again and started this war.
Yep.
More or less. Like, he basically like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we do a war? Because you want to do a war. Why lie?
Yeah.
And
he called out Hokuto, which started it all.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
So
I'm looking forward to that, too, where it's like, right now, I'm like, and you haven't been Night Rogue in a while.
Yep.
So this is going to go big at some point.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
Absolutely.
Which will make, like, being able to see those prequels
a
little bit more compelling. So I just want to see where that through line is coming.
One more detail I wanted to bring up about the Misora healing thing with Banjo is that, again, it's been a while since we've seen Misora, like, I forgot the term they use for the bottles. Purified? Yeah, purify the bottles. So it's been a while since we've seen her use those abilities. And what's also cool is that after she heals Banjo, she's knocked out. Like she always does. Because that was her thing.
Yeah,
when she purifies the bottle, she's super sleepy, so she sleeps. And I realized, like, it's been a while since I've seen that process. Because the show's kind of moved away from that formula. And one thing I like about that is that it doesn't feel like it's a weird left turn.
Yep.
It feels organic into the show.
Well, it could also be like if she has. I've been watching Ancient Magnus Bride, so it's kind of like in my head because they have this concept of the Slayabegi, and it's basically this person who has the ability to generate so much magic that it affects their body. And so, very similarly, because I was watching, I would watch Build back to back. With Ancient Magnus Bride is that when I saw Misora heal him, and I'm like, does the Pandora box have similar effects in that it's that bracelet, the reason why she can't take it off is that it's either generating or holding back whatever, if she's like, was she bathed in that Pandora box light? Or, you know what I mean? And so her way of purifying things, focuses that energy. That's why she passes out. And if she hasn't done that in a while, she needs to be able to do it so that that's where that healing energy comes from.
Exactly.
So, and if nothing's healing, it's very purifying. So, we'll see.
That makes sense, yeah. I'm trying to think anything else that I could think of.
This was a really good episode.
It's a very good episode.
Just like as a general, it makes what I'm liking with Build so far is that it really does. Every episode fits really naturally. Yeah. And it's not like what I would be really exciting, and I definitely want to do this with Gaim as well. Now that you know how the story ends, where were they dropping the Easter eggs in the beginning?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's kind of like how I feel like Shin Kendra is one of my favorite.
Yeah, that was mine too.
And that's another one where it's like, it's a story. It's a full story that feels like it's like you get a new experience when you watch it again. And I feel like Build is in a similar place right now where it's like it's feeling like we're going to learn more about it, especially when we get all the concrete information at the end, and how much does that change our viewing of Sento in the beginning, especially if it's I'm still sort of waiting to see how official the Katsuragi thing is. I'm not going to lie. But if it is, and it's 100%, he is absolutely Katsuragi, then I'm looking forward to seeing how that contextualizes my feelings on Sento in the first couple episodes. Like already my brain's coming to that point where I'm like, oh, the spiky hair thing comes up because his previous self had that really dumb haircut. And that's the part of him that's fighting.
That's fighting back.
Fighting back. So
whenever he gets a good idea.
Or
gets excited about technology.
Anytime's like, I'm in. That's his like, I'm hyped for science.
I really want to see how the effects of face changing works and whether or not it's permanent or not. So like, again, they're like being able to peel back those layers is kind of fantastic.
Now here's a question I have. Because even you wrote in here, okay, so Sawa Takegawa, the reporter lady, how do you feel she's being used right now in the show? Do you feel the kind of holding her up?
I think it's I like that she's taking a step back just because her whole goal was information gathering for both Nanba at first and then Hokuto. And I like that she's taking a step back because it kind of highlights that it's acknowledged that she did something wrong. And it's gonna take a while even to get back into that groove. It can also be like she wasn't available for like other things. It can just be like a natural, practical filming thing. But I like that her whole thing is still information gathering. And that's how we know what's going on from the outside world. She's basically like the explainer of this world. Which makes sense because she's supposed to be a reporter. She's an investigative reporter. So
her being not in the show as much, I feel makes more sense than sometimes Itsurugi's disappearance before we find out about Bloodstock. Because like, okay, she's probably a reporter, she's probably, or at this piece, she's doing her double-sided job of being both a reporter and a spy. And so her disappearing I was fine with because it made sense for her narrative. Whereas like Itsurugi, that's kind of where I started getting some of the suspicions of, you're Bloodstock, aren't you? I got a feeling. Maybe Katsuragi, but it's probably Itsurugi.
I was thinking it was Katsuragi.
You're thinking I don't think that would have been wrong either, because the way it's laid out is also, that's what they want you to think.
They really do a good job in terms of red herring it a lot.
Oh yeah.
And even the way the way Gentoku is, it still feels like as terrible and as arrogant as he is. The fact that you kind of still feel like there's some good in him, that he's doing this because he honestly thinks it's right. That's what I really appreciate. Because we are at Pasadena Comic-Con, there are cosplayers here, and this is pretty live. And I just see this person at the corner of my eye. And it's kind of like one of the most amazing things in the world.
We need this to happen right now.
Because he's a Kamen writer.
Folks, we have a Kamen writer on set. Get over here. You gotta go behind me. You gotta go behind me.
Best time.
Oh my god.
This is great. You are fantastic.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's really good.
Right on. Come on. There we go.
Hi.
Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Oh my
God. This is Kamen Rider Black, you guys.
RX.
Black or RX?
RX. Black
RX.
Okay. Yeah. RX or Masked Rider for the American audience.
Yeah, especially for Power Rangers fans. If you've ever seen Masked Rider, the original, that's supposed to be like it was supposed to have had a crossover with Power Rangers. So it's Kamen Rider Black RX, and it's fantastic.
Yes, that's like,
y'all should really check it
Darrel,
out.
I got a Kamen Rider on the show. Look at this. High five, man.
Fantastic.
I was talking to Darrel earlier at the concert, and he told me like, dude, you're pretty sick. You look legit. I didn't expect that you have one.
I don't know if you can hear this, but
it's very funny.
This is the best, this is the highlight of my day now. So I think we should maybe just sign off.
I think this is
nothing's gonna get better than this, y'all.
Is like I think we're good.
We're good.
So,
all right.
How can we find you on social media?
I am on Twitter at Paula Gaetos. You can also follow the Tokusatsu Network on Twitter at the Tokunet. We're also at tokusatsunetwork.com, as well as on YouTube. We have a new Know Your Toku. We have a series of videos that talks about behind the scenes of specific shows. The one that's coming up now is going to be about Kamen Rider Decade. So if you want everyone a little fun facts about Kamen Rider Decade, that video is going to come up in the Tokusatsu Network YouTube channel. So please subscribe. We're almost to 10,000.
You watch Kamen Rider Build?
Yes, that's what we're talking about today.
Cool.
So yeah, so come check us out at the Tokusatsu Network.
All right. Hey, you can find me on Instagram at JustinKeyson, and Instagram is Justin Quiz, Twitter is Justin Keyson. I have 2 monthly podcasts. One's Ben View on Spielberg, and the other one is Nothing New, a remake podcast. I also co-created a Tokusatsu-inspired webcomic with artist, writer Victor Perfecto called Shining Yusha.
It's a great one.
It's free. That's the best price.
Web comics are the best. Go support it.
Find it on Tumblr, Facebook, and Twitter. That's it.
We're good. Thanks, guys.
Is that his? Bring it over here. Please.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks for guys watching, and we are Pop Culture Renegades.